Sorry, I have the wrong camera on. Just a sec.
No worries. Yeah, it looks like we can't do the business anyway, so we can have a discussion and move forward. But I guess I'll start with the roll call. Um, Angela Hopt,
Here.
Roger Haringa, I don't see online. Joe Mayo,
Here.
thank you. Che Fortaleza, not seeing online. I got person in the attendees. Tim Woodard,
Here.
thank you. Steve Belzak, not seen online. Lance Dahl,
Here.
thank you. Hoyt Jeter,
Here.
thank you. Sean Carlstrom,
Here.
thank you. Todd Sullivan, not seeing online. Bill Mybush, not seeing online. Brian Horstman, not seeing online. Josh Mergens, not online. Trent Tinney, not online. Michael Shaw, not online. Brett Conway,
Here.
thank you. Michael Barth, not seeing online. Leah Summer, I'm not seeing online. Paul Clark,
Here.
thank you. And Andy Leonto, and I'm not seeing him online either. All right, so we are sitting one seat shy of a quorum with this meeting today. I see folks in the attendees group. I'm going to promote them to panelists. I recognize names there. A. Merrill, I do know you, but do you want to be promoted to a panelist to participate today? You can give me a thumbs up if you want. All right. So, I guess since we are lacking quorum at the moment, I'd like to talk about, we've got 6 meetings behind us where we don't have quorum. So we've got a backlog of minutes to approve. We've got the items on our agenda here today, for discussion. The agenda item number 4, Child Care Centers area calculation. Had some momentum back in the last year, and we're trying to get an opinion out so that folks can use that to help them apply the code requirements for the 2021 code. And then we're also trying to push a recommendation on code language forward for the 2024 codes. I think we're ready to get those moving, but without the quorum, we haven't seen any action on those, and we haven't talked about them in quite a while since there's been more interest in the discussions without quorum for the next 2 agenda items. I put all of them on the agenda today to try to get a some more momentum going on them. I think for dwelling unit size, we are right there at the threshold of being able to tip that domino over, and same for the temporary emergency shelters. We've got some draft language for dwelling unit size. We've got a base language for the temporary emergency shelter standards. And we're really looking to get those moved to the BFRW committee, or all 3 of these agenda items moved to the BFRW committee by March, to try to make sure that we have enough time to draft those into CR 102s if it's if it's able to be done with this stuff. The 5 and 6 items are legislative tasks, and so if they didn't sync up into the CR 102 we're working for the main body of 2024 codes, it wouldn't be necessarily a huge issue. It just means that they would then take their own separate path, and we can get them taken care of and drafted in for the publications. Probably not a huge issue to get that in there. But the hope was to get these all kind of married up in one CR 102 filing and move on down the road with them. So, looking at where we're at with our quorum and attendees, I went back and just reviewed attendance from the December 4th meeting on through to here. Um, I've got essentially 3 or 4 main folks who are not in attendance here, and we do have a provision within our bylaws and RCW that would allow us to designate members as ex officio status, and then their seat would no longer count towards quorum calculation. That statute was added, I believe, in 2023 or 2024. That if we would need to go to the executive committee, or I think the BFRW committee. I'd have to review that a little bit further, but we would seek to first notify these stakeholder groups that the representatives are not making attendance at these meetings, and then we're going to designate them ex officio, and maybe we can get some more representatives to come in. Most of these slots have a primary member, but we don't have an alternate member, so that's part of the issue. A lot of, if we look back across the attendance logs, the primary members, if they're not there, the alternates are typically there, and it's only the rare occasion that we don't have either of those representatives present. So if we don't get a quorum here today, I'll keep an eye on what we're working with for our attendees today. It still looks like we're sitting shy of a quorum just at a glance here. But if we don't get the quorum today, I would like to move towards the executive committee designating some of these members as ex officio. And if they start coming back, they're welcome back. And if we can get a good attendance record, I'm more than happy to designate them as, official members of the tag again. Hoyt, go ahead. Hoyt, you're on mute if you're speaking.
Sorry, my mouse, I was clicking on it, wasn't working. Hey, I'm all for that. If they're not showing up, I mean, I know some of us can't make some meetings sometimes, but we see the same people. And it is frustrating because I schedule this time. I'm sure all of us are very busy. And if they can't make it, then,
Right.
if someone else can't fill it, I mean, I would wish we would do that specifically and get rid of them so we have quorum, because it is time consuming for all of us. So.
I've resisted the notion of I've exercised that ability once during the early stages of 2024 code cycle. There's maybe some additional scrutiny to it, but it's there so that we can continue to do business and establish quorum. So I think with the characterization we got now, I've got some emailing and things to do to reach out to these members to see if there's an issue. We tried in between the last meeting and this one to reach out to everybody and get a vote on what would be the most attractive date and time for everybody to come in and be able to participate. We didn't get responses from everybody, but we chose this day and time to be in alignment with the biggest amount of response that we got on that one. And so, moving forward, I'd like to do that. And so I'll be doing some emailing. And then as we get through to the beginning of March at that executive committee meeting, we'll be addressing this topic. With that, I believe our agenda item number 4 is pretty much right there. And I don't know if we want to talk about that at all today. Dwelling unit size, I think we're pretty much right there. I've got a lot going on right now, and if we were going to just talk about the same items and beat that dead horse a little bit more, I would actually prefer to terminate this meeting a little bit early instead of running around and not being able to conduct business here today. But if the group wants to continue to talk, I'm here for you guys. I've got this time blocked out for everybody, but I do have other stuff going on. I got meetings right after this one. You'll notice this one's only scheduled till 10:25. I've got a 10:30 coming up with a DES stuff, and then we've got legislative committee here this afternoon. I've got some things to wrap up to get that meeting final prepped. Let me do another quick review of our attendance here, and then I'll just ask the group what they would like to do. So I don't see Roger Haringa on. I'm not seeing Che Fortaleza on. Steve Belzak, I don't see has joined us. Todd Sullivan, I'm not seeing. Bill Mybush, not seeing. Brian Horstman, not seeing. Josh Mergens, I'm not seeing online. Trent Tinney, I'm not seeing. And Michael Shaw, I'm not seeing online. Um, Michael Barth and Leah Summer, I'm not seeing online. And Andy Leonto, I'm not seeing. So we're still suffering lack of quorum. And Tim, I see your hand up, and I'll let you lead us off onto what the group might want to talk about today.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there, I agree with you. Just cut the meeting short because we can't take action on those things. I totally agree with you that we're on the right track with child care centers, dwelling unit size. Temporary emergency shelters is the one that I was kind of thinking that if we wanted to touch base on is the one I feel like we haven't finalized as much.
All right,
But
we're getting close, but it's the one
yeah.
that's probably the farthest out as compared to the other two topics.
And then you mentioned that, a couple other people being presenters here today. Is there anybody, that would like to give their presentation to the majority of the people that are going to be voting on this so they don't have to come back?
If anybody in the attendees list would like to chat with the group, please raise the hand. I recognize most of the names in here. I will send promotion invites to the group here. All right, and then if they join up or if they raise their hand, I'd be happy to let them chat. Um, But yeah, I don't know if we have any specific presenters, and do have a proponent for the dwelling unit size proposals here. We got David Neiman and Micah online with us, and I'm really pleased with what's come out of their proposal at the last meeting.
Agreed. So,
Looks like nobody's taken me up on my offer to join over. I got Micah raised his hand. Here you go, Micah.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I just had a question on the documents. Um, the dwelling unit size one I'm not sure which one you've got on here and which one we're using. And it would be helpful if you just let us know that. I know David submitted a proposal that we had worked on, and I thought everybody was in agreement, but then there's this one that I don't remember this one being the final one.
So what I did do on this one that wasn't in the document shared at last week's meeting was try to make it clear that we've got the existing amendments section here, and then I really wanted to make sure that it was clear to me especially, but to anybody who's also looking at this, that when we're drafting amendments for the 2024 code language, that we had the picture painted against the 2021 code language, which is the top section, and then it's the same exact stuff painted against the 2024 amendments, or not amendments, but 2024 model code language. And so the changes to 2024 model code are what's depicted here. And what's the difference is that we have some state amendments that were essentially, it appears to me, there were 2024 code language adopted early for the 2021 code. And so I took the document with the edits that we had from last meeting and double checked those. And so the stuff here on the top is I would ask if you agree that it is what it was approved at last meeting.
Don't think it is. I thought David Neiman's proposal was closer, that included at least the latest version of that proposal, that had the language that said a minimum of 70 square feet of this room shall be a habitable space and not less than 7 feet in any dimension.
Okay,
So something with his example, and I thought that was where the tag had went. And I don't remember striking the other habitable rooms language in the latest discussion. And maybe some folks on the tag can correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'm not sure if you can, not sure if you guys can hear me, but Micah, I'm seeing the same thing you are.
Okay. So that is my bad on that one. So let me get in here and see if I can pull something up for the group here.
Dustin, the language I was looking at comes from, if you're on the January 29th meeting, it's the one that says 04 updated language proposal,
Okay.
and it's not on today's meeting. If that helps.
It does help. So I'm gonna get in there. We got our IBC meeting. Where the heck was it? It was
January 29th.
29th. Thank you.
One at the bottom.
Okay. Okay. So I have that one.
So in light of that, you can show it, but I would imagine that the tag will want to table this topic since that was not posted.
Yeah, well, plus we don't have the quorum here today to do any business. But that is my mistake on that one. So I apologize for messing with them. I got a bunch of different documents in there with lots of dwelling unit size stuff, so apologies.
No worries. No apologies.
Let's see. Let me just get some good notes going here. Okay. And then if I'm just going to try to pull these up side by side so I can compare. So, uh, and this now that I'm looking at these, my notes didn't line up with some of the stuff I was looking at, and I was, anyway. Okay, I can get this put in here. And is it the intent to use this graphic that's on this proposal as well?
I think it would be my opinion that the graphic helps clarify a lot of the things that we're told jurisdictions look at differently. So I think it's helpful.
So my plan then is going to be to bring this language forward to show a 2021 painting and a 2024 amendments painting on this one. Well, we'll use the graphic in here, and I will get that updated for our next meeting as we can get that scheduled.
Yeah, that'd be, I'm just adding it. That'd be great. So,
Okay. So got some housekeeping on the dwelling unit size stuff. Will it work? Then do we want to open up the temporary emergency shelters stuff we're working on to have a chat on it?
might as well, because, we have this blocked off. I mean, obviously everybody doesn't have to stay on, I assume, since we don't have quorum. So. But I blocked off this time, and I'm sure all of
Okay.
us are very busy. Getting our time blocked off is not always easy. So.
And hopefully I didn't mess up on this one either, but let's see here. Let me get back to my notes on this from the previous meeting. We didn't really do much on this one at the January 22nd meeting. I added a couple notes to this one. But I guess I'll just open it up to the group and attendees to chat on this one. This one is posted on the website. Tim.
Yeah, I mean, we can't take action and hopefully we're close on it. So we could just get one full meeting in. It's almost like we could take care of all this stuff. But I do think it might be good since we're all on the line to just scroll through it and read through what our decisions were. And then if anybody has any ideas, we could at least bring it back when we did have the quorum.
And I think that what we've been doing since we haven't had quorum since this was generated is we're showing changes, but because we're not taking any action on them, they're still like when we take action, I'll create a R2 on this one. All those changes will go away and the comments will come out and we can start with a fresh document there. So looking to definitions in this appendix, we've got most of the changes that you'll see are removing California specific code language and then trying to characterize it as Washington specific. So in the declaration of shelter crisis, we've pulled out this reference to California code. In the definition of dependent unit, we determined that recreational vehicles were out of the scope for this group. And so we pulled that part of the definition off. Looking for emergency housing definition, we pulled out the California building standards and inserted Washington building code. And if raise your hand, or if I don't see it, go ahead and speak up if I'm rolling over and we need to chat about something. For a definition of emergency transportable housing unit, we got a comment on here that all of these are covered by the LNA factory assembled structures program. We have a removal of a California code reference as well.
You want to add something like reference to our L&I for that stuff? Possibly.
I'm open to it.
I'm just asking other people what they also think. I don't want to be the ones. It'd be nice to be, since it's a transportational housing unit, it would be something like an L&I approval sticker or whatever, something like that. You know, I don't know what other people think, but just so when someone looks at it that may not be as familiar with why these things are there, they'll at least know that this is required to be an L&I approved. That's what I was getting to.
I'd just throw in there that it might not be all LNI. So I'm just thinking the pallet structures. And maybe there's something else in these definitions that govern those. But 99% of them are going to be pallet structures and LNI stuff, what's listed there. But then those pallet homes, I'm not real sure where they fit in. I can't remember. Didn't we have them like a sleeping cabin or something like that?
Yeah, I thought we kind of had
Oh,
them
there
kind
it
of
is.
classified as those.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when you're putting transported ones, when they're actually being able to move around, right? That's how I was looking at this. And I agree with Dustin on that. That's what I thought the sleeping cabins were kind of just saying if this is a transportable housing unit, should we include L&I? That's my question in that definition. I think we should, but that's just my opinion.
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, it raises an interesting question because, if this kit home bill goes through in the legislature, which it looks like it will, then we just need to have consistent language for volumetric versus, because this one doesn't say anything about volumetric that would fall under L&I necessarily. What if it's a kit home like Tim is saying? Or what if we have to do larger kit homes now up to 800 square feet? So that's not an answer. I just it's a question. Thank you.
All right, so we just got a new comment in there. Should we add L&I references in there? Looking for local emergency. Our comment, I think that we were looking is to see if this is defined in Washington. I haven't done the research on that one. I don't think we assigned anybody to do any research on that, so I think that's still the ball in my court on that one. But we didn't want to outright remove this one in case we did have something defined in statute for Washington. Manufactured home, we've got that one just pulled out. We've got it labeled as out of scope for this group. For mobile homes, multifamily manufactured home, park trailer, and recreational vehicles, same thing, out of scope for the group. And then similar to the uh, local emergency, the state of emergency, we need to research if that is defined by statute in the state of Washington. And then we get into code language here. Got a shelter crisis. I got a comment on here that's not needed with the removal of a declaration of emergency definition. Then we have some removal of California references and characterizing it to Washington. With existing buildings, some of the conversation was when is a occupant or change of occupancy triggered? And just have at the time of original construction and or alteration and the provisions of this appendix. I'm not sure why I wrote that note exactly why it's there. I think it's just an excerpt, maybe. With new additions and alterations, we've got the California characterization change to Washington. Within occupant load, we removed the stuff that's out of scope for the group for reference to recreational vehicles. In live loads, we were talking about, and Josh Mergens was the prime one, I believe, leading the conversation here, but we've got some characterization for Washington snow loads and using the flat roof snow load instead of what we have drafted here. And the should, unless otherwise approved by a local jurisdiction, be added to the snow loading is the one of the questions that came out of the discussion on this one. Some more California removal, Washington insertion. Same for the electrical requirement there. And then the question arose, should we insert a reference to RCW 1928, which is where the electrical code, excuse me, is housed. For smoke alarms, we've just made it Washington specific. Same for carbon monoxide alarms. We got this section for transportable housing units are covered by LNI FAS. So that section was proposed to be removed. There's that one. Okay. So for emergency housing shall comply with the applicable requirements of Chapter 11 instead of 11B, which is just Washington specific. And then on this one, we have a guidelines document on the temporary emergency shelter tag page.
You'll be deleting that note where they actually had that on there too, right? You just didn't have it crossed out. You know, it says,
Yeah.
yeah, so just thought I would just bring that up, just the note down below, because they're doing it to ADAC, you know.
Oh. So this would be shown as, should be shown as potential deletion with that.
I mean,
That, wait,
there's others on here that's, you know, we don't do,
yeah, well, this isn't final. This is just kind of discussion and trying to prime it for quick review once we do get a quorum in here.
because the ADAC, the fair housing and all that kind of stuff, we use ANSI, typical of the building code, 117, so.
For this one, for handrails, we changed it from California to Washington and just asked the question, does the Washington group want to reference a specific section or just reference Washington Building Code? Same for the stairway guards. And that's the end of the code language that we've been reviewing. So there's not a ton of
You know,
change.
one other thing, if you go up there where you're referencing the Washington, can you go back with that last one you just said? it's interesting. We have some places where we actually, like the tread and riser, see right there. And then later on, we get the handrails, we say Washington Building Code. This is one of those things where, I mean, I'm just wondering if we should just be doing Washington Building Code for that too. It's up to other ones. They're talking about some other things that they're putting in here, so.
Roger.
Yeah, I just heard you comment about making sure we had a quorum. I don't know if I make that or not. I don't know if I'm a voting member, but just wanted to let you know I'm here.
You are a voting member, but you are our chair alternate. And so it doesn't affect our quorum numbers. We're at the moment with my last review, we're still sitting one chair shy.
Okay.
But I appreciate you being here, Roger. Thank you. Had some attendees drop off. Go ahead.
Just to speak to what Hoyt was talking about, I get his point. It makes some sense. The only thing that's a little different is like the landing platforms. It's for, lofts specifically. So a lot of these things, I'm wondering how specific they are. But anything that's not specific to needing those regulations for these emergency housing situations, I kind of like the idea that we just reference the Washington State Building Code. So we shorten this up and say headroom has to comply, treads have to comply, so on and so forth. And then it'll kind of be in line with basically exactly what the handrails and stairway guard sections already say. And I don't think we should put code sections in there because they change too much and the cross correlation.
Comes a task for future tags to undertake and trying to reduce that workload.
So that would be just exactly to just add on like that. When you go through this, Dustin, you guys reach out to, but anywhere you could, just reference the code that it's on there, and not actually put the requirements unless there's an actual change to that requirements. I do like exactly what Tim says. I do like actually reference the code, because if it changes in the building code for some reason and the future task people that are on here, I do work on the ICC code of correlation thing, and things do get missed when they start having it written in one place and then there's a conflict to another code section somewhere else. I'm in the philosophy to, as much as you possibly can, reference to an actual code section that's there. That's much easier to correct later, but I could be in the minority on that than it is going through and reading through every single one, then go trying to find the code section and then go trying to see what the differences are, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just based on my experience. And other people may have different opinions, but that's kind of always my philosophy. You only put text in there if you're going to actually change it for XYZ reasons.
And so, just so I'm clear, I feel like I might have heard two different things from Tim and Hoyt. I feel like you're in the same spirit, but what we would like to do is reference Washington Building Code or Washington Residential Code, etc., and avoid sections or specific, so instead of chapters, we don't want to reference specific sections due to changing. Referencing chapters is a little safer, but there is still potential for change there. And so I just want to make sure that you guys are both saying it would be good to reference just the code title instead of sections within the code titles.
I don't know if you want me to skip ahead of Todd here at this point.
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm different topics. So please, Tim.
So as I'm reading through these provisions, they're a huge relaxation in the standard code. So we almost have to either agree that we want to go this route and leave it all there. And so I take back everything I said, or we have to decide whether or not we want to make these basically meet current code. So I think now that I've read through them and see that they're drastically different, I thought they were the same. So I was going, why put multiple provisions for the same thing in code? But it looks like these are huge relaxations for these temporary shelters. And if this is kind of a national standard for these emergency shelters, then I would say we do nothing and the whole conversation I just had goes away.
Gotcha. But I mean, we would reference what we have in here because we are actually making changes. And I agree with that statement. But if we had stuff that's just referencing specific sections just to reference it, it would be better to reference the title instead of the section. Okay. Gotcha. Todd,
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point, Tim. Okay, if it's all right, I was just going to try to summarize what I think has been done here just to test it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So this is an appendix in the IBC. It offers that relaxation not relaxation, that relief, let's call it, for the emergency shelters. Taking the California code, we've been able to strike out a lot of the stuff that we think falls under L and I. Testing that back, do we need to have a side meeting with L and I to make sure that I can imagine there's times that they would actually use this, right, for their volumetric piece, that they might reference this? And do we know that we have enough in there for them? And then again, going forward, if we have to do the kit homes, I don't think any of that falls under L and I. I know I'm extrapolating out already, but if we have to do it on this cycle, I just want to make sure we're future-proof enough for the next 9 months that we have common language or appropriate language so we don't have to come back but we can still do correlation. Okay, so I guess the question for everyone is if you're L and I, does this offer enough and will people use it for their authority also on volumetric?
I personally think it's a valid point. Does L&I need these requirements so that they can approve designed emergency shelters? And I don't know. I just felt like that was totally outside of the scope of what we were thinking through. Um, if if you get what I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like we've never really given L&I direction. So
Well, this is the
do they
first I
want to
thought of
start?
it. Yeah, this is the first. Sorry to interrupt, Tim. The first I thought about it because we had a meeting with L and I to confirm that they agree they don't have the authority and don't want it, the ability to do assemblies, right? And I think if that kid home thing came down on us, that would be assembly level stuff. So and it's appropriate in the building code. And then this kind of relates, I think, to the pallet shelter. They're pushed into the building code because they're not volumetric. So they're not under the gold seal or whatever authority of L and I. But then in that conversation, L and I indicated, well, of course, at times they do plan review on structures that are under the building code. I guess that'd be called modular, not under the HUD code or under other RV or whatever code they might reference when they're reviewing that. So that's why I was thinking about it. Are there situations in emergency shelters where they might be volumetric and might be reviewed under L&I?
I guess just taking for what you just said though, Todd, I mean, if they're reviewing to the building code for those gold label structures and they call them emergency structures, then they could just use these volumetric standards, right?
Maybe.
I mean, they wouldn't be able to do it for recreational vehicles,
Oh,
be able to do it for these other things, but those provisions already have these severe relaxation. I mean, you see these lofts and campers and trailers all the time with just ladders instead of having to do treads and so I think we would still be okay. That's just my initial thought, but
I think you're right. Maybe it's just a quick email or conversation just to say, hey, did we cross out anything you think should stay in the building code? And that's an easy way to check it. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that journey.
Does anybody want to poke at any specific sections on this?
I'll do some review offline, Dustin, but
Okay.
again, this is all posted on today's meeting, so anybody on the call could do the same thing. We can look at this and then come back with any changes we see, but I think I'm back to being okay with it. I think we're on the cusp of approving all the things we're supposed to if we could just get a quorum.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm in
Um,
agreement with Tim. Yeah, I think, we're, yeah, I just hope we get the quorum.
Just checking the emergency shelters tag page. So we have the R1 up there, both in PDF and Word format. I just wanted to make sure that we have Word versions available for folks who might want to propose some changes. And we should have that for the dwelling unit size one. I don't think I updated that bogus document onto the dwelling unit page, but I will get one on there for you guys here later on today. All right. Well, it sounds like we don't really have much appetite for additional conversation here today. So unless there's objection, I think we should maybe conclude this one and get back to our mainline job duties today.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dustin.
All right. Thanks everybody for attending. We'll get some work going. So let's see. It is the 19th. We have an executive committee coming up on March 6th. So likely won't have a regular cadence meeting of this group in that first week of March. And I'll send out a polling for some additional meeting for this group, and hopefully we can get it done. I would like to probably schedule a 2-hour meeting and try to keep everything on the agenda that we have there today to try to just maybe dispense with it. And we'll make sure we're provisioned at that point to get there. All right, so seeing no other hands, we will end this meeting. So once again, appreciate everybody showing up because everybody's busy. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll
Dustin.
see you at the other meetings. Yep.
Thanks.